Hello, everyone. B. Alfred Ostrowski. In this recording, I'm going to be presenting a continuation of forking the Ethereum mainnet. I have everything already set up. If you want to review the setup or you haven't set up the forked Ethereum mainnet on EC2 instance, please look at the last video and or reference the GitHub that's posted at the bottom of this video or of the part one. In this video, it's going to be very short. All I'm going to do is show you how to do the exact same examples, except in this case, I'm going to be using Remix. So Remix, like everything else, it's good to have at least two different ways of doing things. In the last part one, I did everything from the Ethereum console, a little bit of my preference there. And reason is I don't have to play around with the wallet. We'll see that as we go through it. But using the wallet, configuring MetaMask, you have to go through a couple extra steps. So I figured I would present it in this video, kind of separate from the first one, in case you want to use the wallet. And again, why am I doing EC2 in the first place, right? The purpose is I can give you a solution, and you, unless you're watching this a long time from when it was recorded, it should work exactly in the same fashion. And I will try to maintain this content that it's relevant. I can give you a solution to you. You can run it up and get up and running in minutes. And unlike a lot of other content, right, that may have some solutions that are perhaps not compatible with whatever platform you're using. So that's the purpose of doing things. So I have everything set up. I have the EC2 instance is up and running, and I have my putty session. I'm just going to review the slight changes adjustments that I made, and we can go through the remix portion. So again, I have Hardhat installed. I double check the DNS. The DNS is updated from the last example because I'm running I've restarted the instance, right? And a new DNS has been assigned here. I also changed the chain ID to 337. This is a popular chain ID, and I could probably use the old one. Most important thing is that I need to be consistent with my MetaMask setup. Now I've deleted the MetaMask network, so I'm going to do that from scratch. So that's the biggest portion of this video. So let me just get this up and running. I'm going to start up that node, and then we don't have to worry about the client anymore for this session, other than the fact that I'm going to be monitoring what's going on right from the real implementation of my forked instance. So here I grab the DNS. Instead of running a local host, I copy the DNS directly into the command line, just like that, right? So let's start it up. Forked Ethereum. Again, major advantage of using this with a lot of advanced testing. I have the 20 accounts with the 10,000 ETH, and I have to worry about faucets and getting my test ether and playing around with my test networks. I can go directly to the forked Ethereum mainnet, which again is a stronger means of testing than using a test net and then making that transition, of course, between networks. It's not always 100%. So this gives you a stronger advantage working within the forked Ethereum mainnet environment. So this is up and running. Let me pull in my browser, and I'm going to be using Remix. So here I've already gone to remixethereum.org, and I have MetaMask up and running. I've deleted my network, so I'm going to show you exactly what I did. One thing to be careful about, you want to connect, you need an application to support that connection. Otherwise, MetaMask doesn't really give you a lot of insight. It may just not show up how to connect an account to your network. So if you don't see that showing up or a prompt when I click into the account or an account that I've imported into MetaMask, especially from, let's say, an external provider with, let's say, my EC2 instance, you want to make sure that you have the application, which I have up here. Okay, so when I log in, the first thing I do is I set it to Ethereum Mainnet. And I'm not going to go through the MetaMask installation. You can look up the appropriate documentation. I'm assuming that you already have some experience with installing and using MetaMask, but again, I'm starting pretty much from scratch here, some basic assumptions here. So let me click in the network, and as you see here, I don't have anything extra than really what has been defaulted for me. I blew away all my other experiments, right? So I'm going to add a network manually. I'm going to call this my AWS forked network. Okay, so I'll know exactly what I'm working with. Now with the RPC URL, I can plug in my DNS because I configured it and put it up and running. Let me grab that from my console here. Make sure I have the latest and greatest here. And I'm going to I have to make sure to put HTTP in front of it. Now it's going to be checking in real time. And again, I need to make sure that node is up and running. Otherwise, MetaMask is immediately going to complain. So this is checking the network immediately. So the default is 8545. And I'm going to remember that chain ID. It's already complaining as an input, right? So it's doing a lot of real-time checking. And I can see in the background, I grab that chain ID, it's testing. So it's already connecting to my DNS instance. Another thing you want to make sure is that you set the security settings to enable the connection, right? When I did the first example, I bypassed that, right? Because I'm doing it off on the command line. I didn't need to worry about it. In this case, I do have to double check my security groups, go to inbound rules, edit inbound rules. Otherwise, you get like a 404 perhaps, or some kind of network not available. I want to check it to all traffic and IP4, save the rules. I had that setting. I just want to go back there and let you know that I have set it appropriately so you don't forget. Because again, from the command line console, otherwise, as opposed to some of the other examples where I'm just doing complete DApp implementations, I had to set the security roles here. I have to go back to set that to use my browser-based IDE, right? So let me bring Remix back into play here. And I have this up, and I'm going to, I can give it a, call it L's coin. I can call it anything I want, right? So this is just my own forked copy. And it prompted me to switch to that network. And boom, I can see the connection being made by going through, and it's loading in the appropriate information. Now, I still have to load in my accounts, right? So I can click under accounts, and I'm going to import account. It's prompting me for private string. Just for brevity, I'm going to grab the last one. So that way I don't have to scroll up too much. I hope they grabbed it in time. Grab it back here, do my import, and see if I can cut paste that in there. And it looks like I grabbed it. And boom, I got my 10,000 ethers. So there you go. It's loaded into MetaMask. Didn't still connect my network yet though. So let me click in. And again, the reason it's going to allow me to connect. Sorry, I got to go up here. So see, it's not connected to any sites. Let me click into this, and now go in. Okay, now it prompts me. Okay, so I can't get that prompt otherwise. That's what I mean by checking that you have an application. You just don't want to separate the activities of MetaMask with your application. Okay, it's looking for the application, otherwise it's not going to connect. So that's 1199. That was the last 4 digits of the account number. You can double check that, but I'm not going to play around with the scrolling around, but you want to check that just to make sure it's connected. So now let me go to connected sites, and it's connected now, right? It's connected to these sites, remixethereum.org, and I can see the connection here, and it's looking really good, right? So here I can go to the default storage prompt. So this is your default read and write to the Ethereum smart contract, right? When I did the console example, I did it with the string. This is just with the UN256. Let me do the compile on that. It comes with the remix, so you're not going to have any compile problems. And in this case, then I'm going to go to the deploy and run the Ethereum prompt to deploy and run transactions. And here I moved it to injected provider MetaMask. So if you're not there, you want to check that. And it already prompted me with the chain ID 31337 looking really good. I could see the response in the background that is confirming everything. But most importantly, my account is verified by the remix ID. And I know that I have C1199. That's the last 5 of the account number, and I have the 10,000 ETH. Okay, so I'm ready to deploy. It looks pretty good. Okay, let's try it out. Still have problems, but here it's prompting me, right? I need to confirm the transaction, right? So let me do that. I can see now it gave me an error. Now it's too high. I expected now to be 90. How can I fix that? I can easily go, I can go full screen on this. I can click to the right and I go to settings. I go to advanced settings and I can clear activity, announce data. Okay, so if I clear the activity, then that'll take care of that error. Okay, so let's try it out, see if it still works, see if it works appropriately this time. So I do a deploy and let's try that. It prompts me, I have to confirm the prompt. Do a confirm, and I can see on the right-hand side the transaction confirmed. And it came down here, storage. I have the deployed contract. And if I click into the deployed contract, now I have the prompt for store and retrieve. The store and retrieve functions, methods, if you will. Okay. And let me write 77. Okay, I'm going to store a uint. Let me do that store, and I get prompted here. Now it's complaining, it's giving me an error. Let me do the confirmation on that. I respond a little bit too fast here. Let me catch up here and do the confirmation. And it's giving me converted without reason string, and somehow it's converting it to a string. But let me do the retrieve, and the 77 I can see down here, it's reading and writing to my blockchain. So it's successfully working in the appropriate fashion. Okay. However, it did give that error there about conversion to a string, and I can get a little more insight of that. For whatever reason, it's binding that with the string. I've tried just removing the quotes, but the most important thing, I'm reading and writing that uint 256 to my personal blockchain, forked Ethereum. All right. So let's go to the check balance. If you haven't seen the check balance, again, please look at the last video. Again, I'm going to skip that for brevity, the explanation. You can see the earlier video. Let me go back to my the Solidity file explorer here, and I clicked out of my storage example, and I'm going to click into new file. Okay, and it's going to give me a file down here. And just as before, I'm going to call this check, capital C, dot Solidity. Now it gave me a brand new prompt again. I'm just going to cut paste that Solidity code that I had from the last example and just throw it right in the browser here. And again, I spent a little more time on this. Please look at the last video if you want to take a look at that. I'm just going to compile that now, and we're going to throw a couple addresses and see if we can get a confirmation on that, right? So look like it had compiled successfully. Let me do a deployment on that again. So let's verify I still have the MetaMask injected provider. Still looks good. Let me do a deploy. It's going to prompt my MetaMask. I do a confirmation on that, and I'm spending my money. It's getting updated here. The deployment looks good. And down here, it's giving me the confirmation as well. So I can look at my deployed contracts. my newer deployed, this is from the last contract, right? I want it from the current one. And here it's prompting me for the check function appropriately. So now I had to update again. The information on that check balance, it's always changing, right? So you have to make sure that you're checking Etherscan. So I'm not going to go to Etherscan until we do the completion of this. We can check it out. But again, I spent a little more time in the last video. I don't want to repeat myself. So I'm just going to cut paste this in here. And I paste it in two addresses. One is of the address for the token. I'm taking a Mainnet token, and I took the top holder of that token, and I just input it in that, and I staged it off screen here. Let's pull it in right here. You can see the highlighted example. And I'm going to invoke check. Okay. And I'm just reading, right? I'm not writing anything, so I'm not going to get prompted. It gave me a contract call, and it returned 374105. Okay, let's pull up. I have my Etherscan IO here, and my address from that staking contract is the D908. That's what I cut pasted here when I staged it. Okay. And the contract information, this is for Matic token. That's the first address, what token, ERC20 token. And this is the top provider, and I have 37410, and here 37410. And the change may be a little bit off there around it, or slightly updated. It can be changing in real time. But I got my information, and I was able to run that successfully through Remix. So I got two ways of doing it now, which is super important, right? It's always nice for the support troubleshooting. You can bounce between the two mediums for doing your advanced testing and development, especially to get into more advanced applications, including flash loans. So there you go. It's part 2 of the fork to Ethereum. And we were able to take our two contracts, run it through Remix, touching my common platform, AWS EC2 C5 instance. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe if this helps. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again. Take care. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye now.